has navigated their own energy problems and challenges and have undertaken reforms journeys. The shared objective of these efforts is clear, to enhance energy security, stability, and sustainability while fostering economic growth and development. Most of our member countries have traversed similar paths and can offer invaluable lessons from their own experiences. China's impressive strides in renewable energy integration, India's advancements in grid modernization and energy efficiency, Brazil's innovative public and private finance mechanism for energy projects, and Russia's efforts in balancing traditional and alternative energy sources provide a wealth of knowledge. We will explore case studies and insights that illuminated how these nations have navigated their respective energy challenges, offering practical solutions and best practices that can be adapted to the context of other of our member countries. An essential aspect of energy reform lies in leveraging technology, enhance governance structures, and engage the private sector. Technology plays a crucial role in modernize energy infrastructure and integrate renewable sources, while effective governance ensures that reforms are implemented efficiently and transparently. Private sector participation through investment and innovation is also pivotal in energy projects and accelerating progress. As we embark on this seminar, let us remain focused on our shared goals to foster dialogue, enhance knowledge, and explore collaborative solutions that we could share with South Africa's energy sector. The insights we gain here will not only inform policy and practices, but also contribute to the broader BRICS vision of sustainable and inclusive development. Finally, I would like to tell you that in 2023, the President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was elected for the first time President of Brazil, and I became Minister of Mines and Energy. My Vice Minister was Mauricio Tomasquim, who today is attending this seminar. In 2023, the Brazil electric sector was characterized by a process of declining reliability and increased risk of energy supply shortages and great vulnerability in the transmission grid. This was due to inadequate investment in the expansion of generation and transmission that culminated in energy rationing in 2021 and 2022. Therefore, when President Lula took office and we became minister and vice minister, we found the sector in deep crisis. The main challenges for the federal government were related to reformulating the legal framework, resuming planning, ensuring energy supply security, diversifying the energy matrix, and universalize the use of electricity. Mr. Mauricio Tomasquim is going to tell this history and how we overcome it. I wish a very productive and resourceful seminar. Let's share our problems and solutions. Thank you.
I express the same sentiments, ma'am. Thank you so much. But with those positive words of encouragement to kick off this session, I would like to ask the Deputy President of South Africa, Deputy President Paul Mashatile. Sir, I'd like to invite you to the podium to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you very much, Program Director. BRICS New Development Bank President, Her Excellency Madame Rousseff, and the new Development Bank Vice Presidents, Acting Director General of the new Development Bank, Mr. Thabo Rakoloti, and senior officials of the bank, Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwane, Acting Minister of Electricity and Energy of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Patricia de Lille, heads of government institutions, esteemed colleagues from our BRICS partner nations, senior government officials of the Republic of South Africa, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. It is my honor to address you today at this crucial energy seminar organized by the BRICS New Development Bank. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our hosts and to all of you who have gathered here to share experiences and insights on energy reform, particularly grid transmission. Madam President, I had the honor of meeting with you and the new Development Bank leadership in Shanghai, in China, in October of last year. I want to express my gratitude once again for the bank's pledge and specifically for the promise made regarding the bank's assistance for South Africa's infrastructure investment. In this regard, we take note of the $5.6 billion in loans extended to our country over the last 8 years. It is commendable that the new Development Bank has approved $2.3 billion for 10 renewable energy projects, including solar PV, wind, hydropower, biomass, and hybrid systems with storage. These projects aim to install a 2.8 gigawatt generation capacity, reducing over 4 million tons of CO2 emissions annually. We also appreciate the bank's plans to assist Transnet in resolving the deficiencies in freight rail infrastructure. The Transnet project in particular is of utmost importance in guaranteeing a good system that is internationally competitive, allowing for the continuous expansion and diversification of the country's economy. During our discussion, we agreed that the difficulty in the sluggish payment of authorized projects in South Africa should be resolved. I discussed the matter with the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ino Kotongwani, and his team at National Treasury are busy ensuring that we attend to this matter. We are also impressed that the bank has appointed former National Treasury official, Mr. Monale Ratsoma, as its Chief Financial Officer and Vice President. We will work with you to ensure that the pledge that the bank made of the $3 billion at the BRICS Summit comes to reality, because it is focused on supporting our energy strategy. Madam President, we are especially eager to learn from China's experience in rapidly scaling up renewable energy capacity and modernizing its grid infrastructure. We are eager to learn from India's success in promoting rural electrification and integrating large-scale renewable energy projects. We are eager to learn from Brazil's expertise in hydroelectric power and bioenergy, and also to learn from Russia's strategies for managing a vast transmission network and its progress in nuclear energy. We hope to gain insight into effective model for private sector participation in infrastructure development, strategies for balancing grid stability with the integration of variable renewable energy sources, innovative financing mechanisms for large-scale energy projects, and best practices in managing the socio-economic aspects of energy transmission. Specifically, one of the lessons we are learning from one of the BRICS member nations is that they have invested in the creation of new cities as a method to eradicate poverty. We are of the same opinion that it is imperative to allocate resources towards the construction of new cities, particularly in our continent, in order to alter the spatial perspective of our cities. In a comparable vein, Dr. Chilizi Rachitanga suggests the following, and I quote: "The future entails massive urbanization, industrialization, and economic transformation anchored on the creation of hundreds of new mega regions across South Africa and Africa, which will reverse the ubiquitous distortions of apartheid and colonial spatial legacies," close quote. Over the years, we have learned that China has built new economic nodes using polycentric policy approach. The three facets of the polycentric city are competitiveness, cohesion, and sustainability. As a result, a polycentric city is considered a solution to urbanization difficulties such as inefficient transportation networks and a shortage of cheap housing, amongst others. This is because polycentric societies provide equitably distributed employment and facilities. It is about size because it is in response to the rise of megacities. This is because cities have evolved into economic engines. As we collaborate with the new development bank, we will invest in new cities in response to today's realities, which are growing urbanization, migration, climate change, poverty, unemployment, and also pandemic management. Program Director, the future is in the cities. Distinguished delegates, as we accelerate the construction of these cities, we will address the large influx of people from rural areas moving into urban areas, which has put tremendous strains on cities throughout our country, causing traffic congestion, housing infrastructure backlogs, and to some extent, an increase in crime. However, as we develop new cities, we must remember that sustainable cities require dependable, inexpensive, and renewable energy to operate. High energy consumption patterns, rising energy costs, and environmental deterioration caused by the use of fossil fuels render cities vulnerable and inefficient. Distinguished guests, I would like to present some of the key initiatives and reforms we have undertaken. First, ESCOM revitalization. We are in the process of unbundling ESCOM into 3 separate entities, focusing on generation, transmission, and distribution. This separation will enhance efficiency, improve accountability, and open up the sector to much-needed competition and investment. We have also implemented a debt relief program for ESCOM, allocating about 250 billion rand over the next 3 years. This financial support is crucial for ESCOM's operational stability and will enable the utility to invest in critical maintenance and upgrade of existing infrastructure. Second, expanding generation capacity. We have taken several steps to increase our generation capacity. This includes removing the licensing requirements for private power generation projects, paving the way for businesses and communities to generate their own electricity. Through our renewable energy independent power producer procurement program, we continue to bring significant renewable energy capacity online. The latest bid window have been designed to expedite the deployment of new generation capacity. We are also exploring the potential of natural gas as a transitional fuel, recognizing its role in providing flexible, dispatchable power to complement our growing renewable energy fleet. Third, transmission infrastructure development. To this end, we are implementing an ambitious transmission expansion plan, including piloting independent power transmission projects and streamlining regulations to accelerate the development of transmission infrastructure. This initiative aims to unlock renewable energy potential, particularly in the northern, eastern, and western Cape provinces. The aim is to connect new generation capacity to the grid. As we pursue these reforms, we remain steadfast in our commitment to a just energy transition. We have, however, decided not to transition in the dark. We are a coal-endowed country. Our Just Energy Transition Partnership with international partners is a cornerstone of this approach. We believe that such partnership will support our transition to a low-carbon economy while ensuring that we address the socio-economic challenges that our country is facing. We are developing comprehensive plans for the economic diversification of coal-dependent regions, skills development programs for workers in the fossil fuel industry, and initiative to promote local manufacturing in the renewable energy sector. We are also looking beyond our borders, strengthening our participation in the South African power pool through regional integration. This regional approach improves our energy security by ensuring that there is sharing of resources and creating opportunities for cross-border power trading. These initiatives represent a fundamental reimagining of our energy industrial complex. We are moving from a centralized, coal-dominated system to a more diverse, flexible, and sustainable energy landscape. This transition is not without challenges, but we are committed to seeing it through. As we implement these reforms, we are keenly aware of the experiences and insights our BRICS partners can offer. Each of our nations have faced unique energy challenges and has developed innovative solutions. It is in this spirit of mutual learning and cooperation that we approach this seminar. Program Director, in conclusion, South Africa is committed to building a resilient, sustainable, and inclusive energy sector. The path ahead is challenging, but we are confident that with the determination, innovation, and cooperation with all partners, we will achieve our goals. The reforms and initiatives I have outlined today are just the beginning. We are open to learning, adapting, but also collaborating as we forge ahead. It is clear that the energy future of South Africa will require a mix of strategies that incorporate renewable energy, energy efficiency, and sustainable development practices to ensure a brighter and more sustainable future for generations to come. As we engage in the discussion over the next few days, let us remember that our shared goal is not just about keeping the lights on. It is about powering our economies, creating opportunities for our people, and safeguarding our planet for future generations. I look forward to the fruitful exchanges that will emerge from this seminar. Together, we can build a brighter, more sustainable energy future for our nation and the world at large. Program Director, with those few words, I would like to wish this seminar well, and thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to share a few thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. At this point, I would like to invite the following dignitaries to join the Deputy President as well as the President of the NDB on stage for a photo opportunity. Beginning with the Minister of Finance of South Africa, sir, I'd like to invite you on stage to join your colleagues, as well as Ms. Patricia de Lille, the Acting Minister of Electricity and Energy, ma'am. I'd like to also invite you on stage. I'd like to kindly ask the Deputy President and the President of the New Development Bank to arise for the photo opportunity as your colleagues do join you. Could I also welcome on stage the Vice President of the New Development Bank, also the Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Kez Bekhoff. Also for this round, the Vice President of the New Development Bank and the CFO, Mr. Monale Ratsoma, and Vice President Zhou, who is the Chief Administrative Officer at the NDB, also for the photo opportunity. And so there's another round of a photo shoot, Your Excellencies. Could I also invite the dignitaries who are seated in front to join them? Mambusi, yourself as well, ma'am, the DDG, Mr. Peterson, yourself as well, and the other dignitaries who are seated in front to join the Excellencies for this photo opportunity. Can the photographers guide us? Will one line work? Let's take guidance from them. What's that? Next to each other. One line. Oh, the photographers have guided one line. So I encourage us to, tightly squeeze against one another so we can fit into this one line. That should be perfect. All right, thank you. All right, so that does conclude the first part of today's session. I would like to ask the rest of you the rest of us to remain seated as we do allow for the dignitaries to make their way on stage with a warm applause. The Acting Minister of Electricity and Energy of South Africa, Minister Patricia de Lille.
Good morning.
and to all our visitors, welcome to South Africa. The President of the New Development Bank, Her Excellency Madame Rousseff, all the senior officials from the BRICS nations, esteemed guests, members of the media. Just over 19 months ago, our country grappled with severe economic challenges exacerbated by profound impact of load shedding. In February 2023, Honorable President Cyril Ramaphosa intervened and appointed a minister in the Presidency for Electricity to centralize and coordinate efforts to alleviate the intensity and frequency of load shedding. Energy security is the cornerstone of any thriving economy. Without it, our aspirations for progress are compromised. For too long, load shedding has robbed us of our potential and impeded our prosperous future. So over the past 19 months, we have made significant strides to ease the burden. Today, over 150 days without load shedding are a testament to the leadership's hard work and collaborated efforts of more than 40,000 dedicated, skilled ESCOM employees, guided by the competent board and senior management team. The team continues to work diligently to ensure ESCOM's integrity. Through their committed efforts, we have increased our electricity capacity, improved maintenance protocols, and accelerated investment in renewable energy sources. I'm pleased to report that we are making significant strides towards regaining our energy security and sovereignty. Our daily energy availability factor is trending at 65%, up from 55% for the same period last year. We have achieved a new availability capacity of 34.297 megawatts, a level not seen since August 2021. Our unplanned capability loss factor has dipped below 10,000 megawatts, a significant reduction from 18,500 megawatts in May of 2023. We have seen 7 power stations with an energy availability factor exceeding 80% and 2 stations with an EAF above 60%. Also, the National Nuclear Regulator has granted Kubik Unit 1 a license extension until the 21st of July 2044, affirming our commitment to nuclear power as a key component of South Africa's energy transition. We also substantially reduced the open cycle gas turbine cost to approximately 3.3 billion rand, around 70% lower than the 10.98 billion spent last year. In the realm of renewables, our total installed capacity now stands at 6.43 megawatts. So the 2024 general elections and the formation of the Government of National Unity are profound testaments to the resilience and spirit of our diverse nation. Our nation serves as a clarion call for us to rise above divisions, embrace our diversity, and unite to rebuild our cherished country. We are therefore moving swiftly to enhance our generation capacity further and design an optimal energy mix. This mix will include cleaner coal technologies, gas, solar, wind, hydro, pump storage schemes, and nuclear energy. Both conventional and smaller modular reactors. This work will be informed by the diverse and rich feedback in response to the 2023 Integrated Resource Plan. Our plan will be underpinned by an evidence-based decision-making and approach, considering our growth objectives and long-term energy demand planning implications. Subsequent IRPs will be aptly informed by the country's integrated energy plan, the development of which the Ministry of Electricity and Energy is currently spearheading. Since receiving an expanded mandate as the Minister of Electricity and Energy, we have convened stakeholders across our country, across the energy value chain, to refine our plans towards achieving energy sovereignty. We will also facilitate discussions on the entry barriers that have limited the growth of our renewable energy installations. The establishment of South Africa's Independent Powers Producers Office, the IPPO, represents a successful example of a programmatic approach to the electricity sector. The plan has unlocked substantial funding from both domestic and international funders. Our significant improvements in addressing the complex challenges in our energy sector are beginning to yield benefits. Businesses, communities, and civil society have renewed confidence in our government's ability to rally its internal resources and social actors to lead economic recovery and a rapid, inclusive, and transformative growth. We do face a challenge, but we must be vigilant of also emerging threats as we tackle our energy crisis. South Africa relies heavily on natural gas from Mozambique, particularly from deposits in the southern part of the country. However, these reserves are depleting rapidly, posing a significant risk to our energy security. The gas industry, which include industrial gas users, contribute over 690 billion rand in economic activity annually and creates direct employment for over 118,000 people. But following these challenges, constructive meetings were held in July, and we are now acting decisively to avert a potential crisis. As the esteemed development economist Joseph Stiglitz reminds us, development is not about development is about transforming the lives of people, not just transforming our economies. True energy security is not only about power availability, but also about empowering our citizens and residents, creating an environment where businesses can thrive, families can live with dignity, and every South African can reach their full potential. On expanding our transmission infrastructure, the grid capacity has fallen short of what is required for further generation capacity, as detailed in our Integrated Resource Plan. And based on Eskom's transmission development plan, 53 gigawatt is expected to require a connection to the grid by 2032. Which in turn requires 14,000 kilometers of new transmission lines. And there is a disjuncture between the location of conditions for the best wind and solar and electricity demand, necessitating an urgent need for the accelerated expansion of our national grid. Eskom's current financial position significantly limits its ability to attract sufficient capital to expand transmission infrastructure, with the delivery rate taking on average 7 to 10 years. But this delivery rate needs to be scaled up at least 8 times more to connect the energy generation required for energy security by 2030. Transmission infrastructure is essential to advancing South Africa's green economy potential, job creation, and industrial-orientated growth. However, this is a memo task given various supply chain and industry constraints, such as the extended lead times involved in the supply of complex transmission equipment within the context of increased global demand. In addition, within South Africa, there is a material technical skills shortage of people with the requisite skills needed to roll out the transmission infrastructure at a scale and as quickly as possible. So in December 2023, Cabinet endorsed the adoption of an independent transmission project as the requisite catalyst for transmission infrastructure development. South Africa recognizes the immense potential of deepening our partnerships with BRICS countries, particularly in the energy sector. As the world faces increasing demands for sustainable and affordable energy, collaboration amongst the BRICS nations is now more crucial than ever. We are eager to learn from your vast experiences and innovations within the BRICS countries, drawing from your successes in diversifying energy sources, improving energy efficiency, and expanding access to clean energy. We do not have the time to go and for a methodology of trial and error. We have to use the tried and tested methods used by our BRICS partners. For BRICS nations collectively striving to balance economic growth with environmental sustainability, these carbon borders could severely hinder our industrial competitiveness and economic resilience. It is essential that we as the BRICS countries unite to challenge these measures on the global stage and advocate for an equitable climate policies that recognize our rights to development and our unique circumstances. Together, we can push for a more just and inclusive approach to global climate action that supports rather than stifle our development aspirations. By working together, we can build a more resilient and sustainable energy future for all our nations, addressing shared challenges such as energy security and transitioning to low-carbon economies. So, as South Africa, we are keen to learn from and collaborate with our BRICS partners in developing renewable energy technologies. Countries like Brazil and China and India have set global benchmarks in solar and wind energy. We will explore advancements in nuclear energy, leveraging the expertise of BRICS countries with cutting-edge technology. South Africa sees great value in learning from Brazil and India's successful implementation of the independent transmission projects, which have enhanced grid reliability and expanded access to remote areas. By integrating these lessons into our projects in South Africa can reach our energy infrastructure quicker with much speed. We can scale up and agility into the development of our transmission infrastructure. South Africa is committed to enhancing cooperation within BRICS on energy policy and regulations. Through intensified partnerships, we believe that BRICS can be pivotal in shaping the global energy landscape, driving innovation and promoting sustainable development across our regions. So therefore, in conclusion, we really look forward to learning from the lessons learned and best practices regarding the energy market reform that BRICS countries will continue to share with South Africa. Once again, on behalf of the Government of South Africa, and on behalf of my colleague, Dr. Joseenso Ramagopa, that cannot be here today, I wish you well in your deliberations and discussions, and we know that we can rely on our trusted partners within BRICS to assist South Africa. Thank you very much, and God bless.
And equal thanks to you, Minister de Lille, and thank you for introducing the next leg of our event, our discussions right now, which essentially is going to be a peer learning session from the members of the BRICS, finding out what is working. As Minister de Lille did say, the time for trial and error as it does pertain to energy at this present moment in time is not sufficient, and we need a tried and tested. So to lead us in the tried and tested model, I would like to invite our next guest who will speak on behalf of the case study in Brazil. Mr. Mauricio Telesquim, who is the Chief Energy for Transition and Sustainability Officer at Petrobras, speaking to us about some of the minimal critical factors and phases of reforms to ensure successful IPT programs. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. There is a presentation, maybe you can show on the screen. Great. So thank you again for this opportunity to talk about the Brazilian power sector reform. I think, okay, let's start talking about the Brazilian power system. In terms of the physical system. So let me introduce you the Brazilian power system. So we have a total installed capacity of more than 220 gigawatts. Only to give you an idea what this means, this corresponds to about more than 90% of the total installed capacity of the African continent. Most of our installed power capacity is renewable. 50% hydro, 70% solar, wind 13%, and we have biomass 7%. When I talk about biomass, I'm talking about the bagasse from sugarcane to produce electricity. Brazil has a huge power system. We have 172,000 kilometers of high voltage transmission lines that cover almost 100% of the electricity market. Brazil is a continental country. We have the same size of the continental United States, more half Alaska, or the equivalent of 30% of the African continent. I want to give you an idea what this means. If we plot the Brazilian map over the European map, we could see that if Europe had the same power system than Brazil has, Portugal could trade electricity with Norway or even with Russia. We can plot the same map over the African continent map, and you can see that the existing power system would cover the south of Africa. So let's start talking about the power, the first power sector reform. Well, the first power sector reform happened in 1996, and it has introduced competition in generation retailing, regulation in transmission distribution that are natural monopolies. It has established an independent system operator, a short-term electricity market, a regulatory agency that is called ANEL, and about 85% of the distribution companies were privatized, and consumers with loads higher than 3 megawatt was free to negotiate with the generators, with the electricity supplier. But this power reform didn't work very well because it doesn't bring the necessary investments for the expansion of the system. So in 2001, we have a very big shortage of electricity in Brazil, and the government has to make a rationing, power rationing. All the consumers from the residential, commercial, and industrial sectors was forced to reduce 20% of their consumption. This rationing achieved 17 states of the Brazilian surface, the Brazilian states, and the consumers that does not meet the target, the reduction of 20% of consumption, has a very strong penalty, has to pay a fine. And if they persist to not cut the electricity, they could have the electricity supply suspended for 3 days. So the government also has to reduce the public lighting on the streets, monuments, and so on. This very bad situation took 9 months of duration with very bad consequences for the country. We have a reduction in the GDP growth rate, and some estimations indicate that only for the federal treasury there are losses that are estimated in about $20 billion, without considering the municipalities' loss, the state loss. So, as I said, the main reason for the rationing was the lack of investment. It was really a dry year, and we are a hydropower country. When you have a dry year, you have problems. But it was proved that was not the weather that caused the rationing, but the lack of investment. If you look at the blue line represents the installed capacity. And you can see that the blue line that represents the installed capacity did not follow the energy demand, that's the red line, until 2000. So there was a lack of investment. Why that happened? 2 reasons. First reason, Eletrobras, that is the federal state company, was being prepared to be privatized and was forbidden to invest because there was an agreement with the monetary fund, the National Monetary Fund, that was a reduction the public expenses. At the same time, the government was expecting that the private capital could invest, but the private capital found that was too risky to invest in the sector, and I'm going to explain why. This figure shows the spot market price. You can see that before the crisis and even after the crisis, when you have wet years, you have a very low price in the spot market. So let's suppose that you are a private investor, you want to build a power plant, and then you don't have a PPA. You have to sell your electricity in the spot market, the price is very low, and you're going to bankrupt. So the private investor said, no, I'm not going to invest in this condition. So in 2002, there was a change in government. President Lula arrives and has indicated Minister Dilma Rousseff, at that time Minister of Mines and Energy, and she invited me to assist her as Deputy Minister to, let's say, reform the power sector. So the main driver for this secondary reform is to attract investments, to ensure efficiency increase in the capacity. Rationing, power ration, no more. So to do that, we have two actions. First, we take out of the list of privatization Eletrobras and allow Eletrobras to return the investment. At the same time, we build a model to attract private investors because Eletrobras alone was not enough to support the needed investments. And what we did to attract private investors. You say you are not going to depend more on the spot market, and we are going to give you long-term PPA. With the long-term PPA, you have an assured revenue. And what we did to give this long-term PPA, we organized auctions, public auctions. The private investors that offer the lowest bid to build and operate the plant receives a long-term PPA. So we had before a competition on the market. The private investor had to build a plant and then try to find somebody to buy the electricity, and we move from a competition on the market for a competition for the market, where the private investor compete for PPA. So you have three kinds of markets in Brazil. You have the regulated market, the free market, and the energy reserve market. Let's start talking about the regulated and free market. The regulated market, where you have the distribution company. The distribution company can only buy electricity through public auction organized by the government. And the winners, generators that win the auction sign contracts with the distribution company. In the free market, you have the large consumers that can negotiate their supply directly with the generator. At the same time, we have introduced energy reserve market. What's an energy reserve market? We decided for security reasons we should contract more energy than the energy that was requested by the distribution company and by the large consumers. So we have here a kind of single buyer market where we have CCE, that's the electricity commercialization chamber. It receives energy charge from the consumer and use this resource to pay the generators that was contracted through auctions. So how is organized the auctions? Well, everything starts in the Ministry of Mines and Energy. The Ministry of Mines and Energy published an ordinance with the main guidelines for the auctions. Then the regulatory agency, that's ANEL, issued the contracts and that will be signed by the winners of the auctions. Then the energy planning officer that was created by the model received the proposal for the investors and make a qualification, a technical qualification of the projects. The projects that are qualified, they participate of the auction, and then the winners sign contracts with the distribution company or with CCE. And with the PPA, the investor go to National Development Bank and use this PPA as collateral to obtain the finances. So the National Development Bank can, let's say, do a kind of project financing with this PPA. So we have auctions that happen 4 and 6 years before the market completion year. So in order to give time to the plants to be built. And we have different times of contracts. How is determined the demand, the auction demand? So you have a centralized procurement, and the demand is the result of the sum of the addition of the sum of all the load forecast of the distribution company. So each distribution company make a load forecast for 4 years ahead or for 6 years ahead. The government add all the requests, and this is the demand to the auction. And the case of the reserve auction is a study of the energy planning officer that support the Ministry of Mines and Energy to define what's the demand for the auction. As I have said, there is a technical qualification. And why is necessary a technical qualification? It's necessary to avoid what's known in the literature as bid but not build. Investors that go bid in the auctions and afterwards does not build the plant. So to do this qualification, you need to find an equilibrium. Because let's say if you have a high qualification requirements, you have high success rates. However, we are going to have fewer projects qualified, and if you have fewer projects qualified, we are going to have higher price because you have lower competition. On the other hand, if you have low qualification requirements, you have more projects qualified, more projects competing in the auctions, so you have greater competition. However, you can have lower rate of success because the winner of the auction cannot have may have a bad project and the project are not going to be built. So what's the main qualification criterion used by the Energy Planning Office? First of all, the project should be registered at the regulatory agencies. If in the case of wind and solar, it's necessary that the wind, the solar radiation, the power generation is certified because you don't have wind all the time, so you have to certify the amount of wind that's available and the solar irradiation conditions. The plant has to have environmental license. The investor has to prove that it has the ownership of the land, and they have to obtain the grid access authorization from the independent sister operator. He has to prove that he can connect to the grid. This figure is very interesting. It shows the success of this model. These are the bars represent the number of projects that was submitted to energy planning agents to be qualified. And you can see in 2021, that was 5,000 projects that was submitted in order to participate of the auctions. 5,000 projects totaling 200,000 megawatts. So it's a huge figures that show how attractive is this model to the private investor. And here you have the blue bar represent the project that was registered at the Energy Planning Office to be analyzed and qualified. The orange bar represents the number of projects that were qualified, in fact. So in 2021, you see that there was 5,000 projects, but 45% only that was qualified to participate of the auction. In the end, only 2% of the registered project was really really win the auction. So you have a huge competition because you have 5,000 projects competing for the right to sign a PPA. So, to participate of the auction, the investor has to collect 1% of the investment to ANEL. And if he wins the auction, he has to collect 5% investment to make sure that he will finish the project on time. Who can compete? Well, can participate of the auction everybody, public or private companies, national or foreign companies. Foreign companies, if it's a foreign company, it has to have a subsidiary in the country. Who is the winner? As I say, the winner is the investor that offered the lowest bid to build and operate the plant. The winners receive a contract, that a PPA that vary from 15 to 30 years. 30 years of duration for hydropower plants, 15 years of duration for wind and solar, 20 years for thermal power plant. All the contracts are indexed by a consumer index price. The winner of the auctions, the winners of the auctions can sign two kinds of contracts. Standard financial forward contract, that's where the generator has a fixed revenue, and the difference between the generation and the contract is sell or buy in a spot market, and the contract based in availability. In the case of thermal power plant, the investor receives a fixed amount to pay the fixed revenue for the fixed cost, and the variable cost is paid when the plant is dispatched. Well, a very important aspect is the collateral, because what's the problem? You can have, who pay, let's say, the bill, the consumer pay the bill to the distribution company, and the distribution company pay the generator that have to pay the bank. What's the problem? How to avoid that the distribution company does not pay one or two generators? So when the consumers pay their bill, part of the money of the bill does not go to the bank of the distribution company. It goes to the bank account, a collateral bank account that will be used to pay the generator. So let's say if I'm a distribution company, I cannot touch all the money that the client has paid with the bill. Part of the money go to my bank account, but part of the money go to another account, and this other account can only be touched by the generator and sometimes for the bank that has financed the project. So this is a way to avoid, if the distribution company is in a bad situation, it cannot choose which generator pay, which generator not to pay. Well, important as the generation is the transmission. You have these auctions also in transmission. You have concession to construction, operation, maintenance of the facilities. The concession took 30 years of duration, and the investor, the transmission company, receives for the availability of the service. It means that regardless the flow of energy, regardless the amount of energy that passed by the transmission line, it will receive a fixed revenue. Very important is to have a good energy planning, a good transmission expansion planning. So we have, in this model, created the Energy Planning Office, and the Energy Planning Office each year launched a kind of document, two documents, one with the transmission lines that should be put in auction. This plan is determinative. This means what's in the plan should be built, should be put in auction, and it has an horizon of 6 years. At the same time, you have another plan that's an indicative one that show the lines that are going to be studied to be for the next, to start operate in the next 7 to 10 years. We have to start the process very, very early because it takes a lot of time. It takes 8 to 18 months to elaborate the transmission plan. Then, to make the auctions and grant, you have other 9 months. And then, to build the transmission line, you have other 36 to 6 months. So, if you don't start early, you don't have enough transmission lines to use by the plants that are put in auction. So, how the contracts payments work between agents? You have the independent system operator. Independent system operator receive a payment from all the consumers and all the generators. All the consumers and all the generators have to pay for the use of the transmission line. The independent system operator take this money and pay the transmission companies. So and the independent system operator has a kind of contract with both sides, with the consumer generators and with the transmission companies. Some results. We have organized 54 auctions, totally $60 billion of investments. And you can see that the investments in the last years has increased a lot. This is the consequence of the big amount of renewables, intermittent renewables in the system, because you have a lot of wind and solar plants, and to have how to use, send electricity, you need a lot of transmission line capacity. Now, the results of the power auctions, we have organized 47 power auctions, contract almost 1,500 power plants, totally 93,000 megawatts, with the share for each energy source. There was a very important increase of the installed wind power capacity. In 2005, you have only 22 megawatts in the system. Nowadays, we have more than 30,000 megawatts. Brazil is has the sixth largest capacity of wind in the world. We have 1,043 wind farms in 12 states. There was a very important expansion of solar generation also, both centralized and distributed generation. And the more important is the reduction in price. When we did the first auction for wind, you buy wind by $85 per megawatt hour. The last auction was $32. And in 2017, we bought wind electricity by $20. There was a little increase because of the crisis in the suppliers, with COVID and so on. But anyway, it's a very good price. The same thing happened with solar energy. The first auction in 2014, he bought solar by $87, and now it's $32, and it achieved even $17 in 2019. Here we look to wind, solar, and small together. You can see that when we started in 2014, the solar was much more expensive than the other sources. And in 2022, the price on solar and wind are the same. Finally, this is the last slide with key factors of success. First of all, the institutional capability and coordination. It's very important to build the institutional framework to plan the expansion, to plan the auctions, to organize the auctions, given the fact that it's a complex process. It's very important to have a regulatory stability, because otherwise the investors find very risky to participate of the auctions. And so respect the contracts also. Very important to have good qualification process. If the qualification process is too easy, you increase the risk of non-compliance. An investor can build a plant, but win the auctions, but not build the plant. If it's very draconian, the procedure, it can reduce a lot the competition. It's very important to have a kind of certification to know what's the maximum amount of energy, for instance, that the wind plant, the solar plant can sell, because they cannot supply the full capacity. And finally, maybe one of the most important, is very important to have coordination with transmission planning. I'm finished only telling one fact. We have an auction of wind plants. The wind plants was ready, so the investor of the wind plant has the right to receive the money because he has built on time, but the transmission line was not ready. So we have a plant that was there, but there was no way to this electricity go to the consumer. So it's very important, let's say, to go side by side, investment in generation and investment in transmission. Thank you very much.
Mr. Telescrim obviously doesn't need the box that some of us are standing on. But thank you, sir, for sharing your perspective over in Brazil. Quite a turnaround story, it would seem, was achieved in your energy landscape, notwithstanding, I'm sure, still work that still needs to be done. And so to give us the China case study, I would like to welcome on stage Mr. Pan Yu-Huin, the Executive Vice President and CFO for State Grid International. Sir, thank you.
Bom dia, Ms. Dilma Rousseff. Good morning, all the executives of NDB and our friends from all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pan. It's not easy to spell my name for you guys, I know, so easier to remember Pan. And I'm from State Grid Corporation of China. I used to work for State Grid not only in China, but also abroad. Actually, I work in Brazil for more than 14 years. I always say Brazil is my second hometown. So it's a pleasure to be here, and many thanks to NDB for the invitation, and to give me the opportunity to share with you our experience in State Grid Corporation of China in the integration of the renewable generation, and also, of course, Brazil, our low carbon transmission experience in Brazil. Okay, first, some overview of State Grid. SGCC was established in 2002, and the core business in investment, construction, and operation of the power grid. We have a mission, very beautiful mission: power your beautiful life, and empower our beautiful China. I say I empower our beautiful BRICS, beautiful globe. And we serve 26 provinces in China, covers 88% of the China territory, and it serves more than 1.1 billion of the people, and ranks third in the global Fortune 500, and of course, China's #1 most valuable brand, and the same sovereign rating as the Chinese government, and also 12th on the global brand value 500. State Grid is the largest utility company in the world in terms of asset, energy sales, and also operating revenue. You can see here is $747 billion as the asset, and 5,172 gigawatt-hour electric sales, and the operating revenue is $475.4 billion. And we have the highest voltage of the transmission line, that is AC reaching 1,000 kV and DC reaching 1,100 kV. And of course, we operate the longest transmission lines in the world. Safety, I think this is always a priority for State Grid in terms of safety. So we make heavy investment on the grid just to achieve this goal. And I believe our grid is the only MAG power grid in the world that without no wide scale of the blackout since 2000 since the year 2000. And here, this slide is a very interesting slide. It shows the growth of the integration of the renewable energy in China. And we have now the world #1 installed capacity of the green source energy like the solar power and hydro and other sources. The installed capacity of the wind and the solar increased by more than 10 times in the past decades, exceeding more than 1/3 of the global total. You can see here from here is in 2010 is like 22 megawatt hour, but 2023 is already 880 gigawatt. Innovation. State Grid always puts innovation on a very important position, and we have the largest quantity of the number of the international patents, especially in the ultra-high voltage and the large power grid operation and control, and new DC transmission, etc. Not only in China, but also State Grid Corporation of China is operating in 10 countries and regions, about 13 energy projects with overseas assets that's almost 54 billion US dollars. International cooperation. SGCC contribute to energy transition and cooperation by hosting international conference and engaging international organizations' high-level dialogue. This international forum for energy transmission is becoming more and more important, one of the most influential annual gathering for the global energy sector. Okay, about the green energy development in China. Of course, to integrate and absorb the new energy, we need to have a very strong power grid. So State Grid coordinates the development of a power grid at all levels and balancing the power supply and demand across regions. Maybe this slide can give a more straightforward idea of the investment we made in China. And we invest 70 billion US dollars every year on the grid and operating 35 ultra-high voltage transmission projects. That is 19 AC and 16 DC, the longest transmission line reaching 3,300 kilometers, with the total length of the high voltage transmission reaching 50,000 kilometers. And this, of course, rely a lot on the new type of power system with more renewables. So we have a strong and smart grid run as the hub of the platform to support the generation, grid, load, and storage integration. This is an integrated energy solution. Green development, okay, as I mentioned before on the previous slide, we have 860 gigawatts of the solar and wind mainly, ranking #1. And the utilization rate of the renewable above 97% for the 4 consecutive years. And this is a very good example of how we utilize the new energy. The Beijing Winter Olympic Game, all the venues were powered by 100% renewable generation. And coming from Jiangbei region, that is a little bit far away from Beijing. This is the first time in the history of the Olympic, but we will continue doing this to make sure that all of the renewable energy supports our beautiful life. And this is a very important solution we have to make sure that the fluctuation of the new energy can be solved. That is the power storage technology. So mainly in two sides. One is the pumped storage, another is electrochemical. China has 106 pumped storage stations with a total capacity of 133 gigawatts in operation or under construction. On the left side, we have the largest pumped storage power station in China. That is the capacity 3.6 gigawatts. On the right side is the first large-scale grid-type energy storage power station. It can provide, it is electric chemical energy storage. It can provide a maximum of 100 megawatt hour of energy. It's charged at the off-peak time and discharged during the peak hours. That is substitution of the heating system. In north part of China, it's very cold, of course, much colder than what we have in South Africa now. So it's SGCC substituted coal with electricity to help the heating system upgrade of the household. That is around 12 million households, and reducing the direct use of the coal by around 43 million tons. And I think this is a very hot topic in China about the EV, the electric vehicle. State Grid is trying to build a fast charging facility along the highways, spanning over 50,000 kilometers of highways along, we call it 10 north and south corridor, 10 east and west corridor, and also, of course, two wings, that is the metropolitan circles. And we connect over 9.6 million of charging piles, and also serving over 26 million of the EV owners. And we provide an app, we call that is the one app to travel all across China. So we provide one basket solution for the EV owners. So they are very willing and easy to use our app and charge in the stations provided by State Grid. International business, of course, considering the time, we have the State Grid Corporation of China, the only overseas investment platform that is State Grid International Development. We have 12 companies or subsidiaries globally in 9 countries and regions. And the total asset, $52.4 billion US dollars. On the left side of the page, we can see all of the companies, the subsidiaries we have globally. We have 2 in Brazil. That is the almost contributes half of the operation we have in State Grid. We started from NGCP. Oh, sorry. From NGCP, that is the National Grid of Philippines. We have State Grid Corporation, State Grid Brazil Holding in Brazil, REN in Portugal, and Electronet in Australia, SGCCAA in Australia, and Hong Kong Electric in Hong Kong, and CDP in Italy, IPTO in Greece, and CPFL Brazil, and OETC, that is in Oman, and Chiquentas GE in Chile. And SGID operates under the business philosophy of market-oriented performance, long-term investment, and localized operation. So we have around 40,000 employees globally. The majority of the people are local. So we don't really replace the employees by Chinese. We have local operation. And we consider ourselves as a part of the local community. And we leverage SCC's advantage in technology, management expertise, and talent, and credit and brand recognition. All of this will bring more efficiency and benefit to the local subsidiaries. So our low carbon energy transmission in Brazil, I saw Actually, this in the presentation of Mr. Mauricio. And actually, we have two platforms in Brazil. One is a transmission platform, another is generation and distribution. The first one here is the transmission, that is SGBH, State Grid Brazil Holding. We entered Brazil by acquiring 7 concessions, transmission concessions in 2010, and then acquired another 8. And we implemented 10 greenfield power transmission projects. And now, gradually, we already grew up as the second largest transmission company in Brazil, with total assets 33 billion reais, and the transmission lines in operation 16,000 kilometers. And this we won twice in the by the Valor Economic newspaper as the best company in the energy power sector. This map, actually I see in Mauricio's presentation, that is, you can see here, we have 2 transmission lines. That is the 2 ultra high voltage transmission line we built in Brazil. We consider this as an electric highway. It's speed up the efficiency by transmission more than 30%, and also save decrease the energy loss by around 40%. And this, by doing this, we transmit the energy from Amazon basin, that is far away from the center of the load, to south part of Brazil, that is the center of the load in São Paulo and Rio. This action contributes we elevate Brazil's direct current transmission voltage from 600 kV to 800 kV, and enabling Brazil's electricity sector into the era of ultra high voltage. The 2 projects have delivered a total of 180 billion kilowatt-hour clean hydropower, which is equivalent to saving more than 64 million tons of standard coal and reducing the carbon emission by around 170 million tons. The first is, we call this Belo Monte 1. That is the first ultra high voltage transmission line in Brazil and also in Latin America, with a transmission line that is 2,084 kilometers. The second is Belo Monte 2. This is the longest transmission, ultra high voltage direct circuit transmission in the world. That is 2,500 kilometers, sorry. And the blue dotted line, that is the new transmission line. That is, we got the auction in the December of 2023. This will be the largest transmission concession in the history of Brazil. And by the COD time is around the year 2028. And this, if the project is in COD, I mean commercial operation, we can deliver 22 gigawatt-hour of clean electricity from wind, solar, and hydropower annually. So this is what we did in the construction. And during the construction, we actually fulfilled our social responsibility and the environmental protection obligation. So you can see here, below, we have the route deviation to avoid the social environmental sensitivity. And also we increase the tower height in order to decrease the vegetation suppression and minimize the corridor, the width of the corridor, to reduce the vegetation removal. 2 programs initiated to preserve the fauna biodiversity. That is the fauna monitoring program and fauna rescuing program. By doing this, we registered more than 1,000 species and protected around 4,400 animals rescued. This is the part that I admire and love the most. That is the social project. SGBH spent around 50 million since 2012 to support the social project. And SGBH was awarded by as the best practice social responsibility management by United Nations Global Compact. And the Malay du Amayan, this orchestra, we started this project from 2011. Now almost 7,000 kids already benefited from this project. These kids from slums in Brazil, if don't have this project, maybe they just grew up together with violence, with drugs. But with this project, we try to bring music to their life. They grew up with healthy environment. And recently, actually, this team are playing in Beijing together with our colleagues in state grade. I love this project. This is a life-changing project. So this is another platform we have in state grade in Brazil. That is CPFL. This is a very old company, more than 110 years old. So it is a listed company. State grade has 84% of the shares, and the market cap around 44 billion. SCPFL has generation, transmission, distribution, and power trading. So it's actually is more in the distribution side, actually, distribution generation. In CPFL, we also have the social project. We spent around 30 million per year for the project. We have philosophical cafe and CPFL in hospitals, and the CPFL Young Generation, CPFL Circuit, and the Brazil-China exchange. Among all of these projects, I love CPFL in hospital the most. This project, we spent around more than 300 million already, benefit more than 500 hospitals. This project is to install solar panels for the public hospitals. So these public hospitals, they have limited resources to take care of the patient. By doing this, they will greatly decrease their energy bills, and they have more resources to take care, to benefit the patient. And this one is the project that is purification of the water. You can see, I don't need to tell the story, but you can look from the smiling faces and the kids, they are drinking the clean water. You can see what is this project. On the upside, we have the ambassador of China to Brazil and also the governor of the state, Rio Grande do Sul, do Norte. And this is a